We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-host, Jeff Mack, Newmark Rubnight Frank, and Susan Smith-Vistage. I'd like to introduce Dr. Debbera Peoples-Lee, who is the CEO of the West Oak Lane Charter School. What is the West Oak Lane Charter School? What do you folks do?
West Oak Lane Charter School is a 17-year-old public charter school located in Northwest Philadelphia, where we educate and nurture 1,027 kindergarten through 8th graders.
Wow. And how long have you been there?
This is my 9th school year.
Your 9th school year. Now, considering all the changes that are happening with education, 1st to 8th grade, why does this turn you on? Aren't there a lot of problems and aggravational things and stuff? Why do you do this?
Because of the children.
What are you talking about?
Well, I was a child once. Yeah. Someone educated and nurtured me to get where I am. One, you have to give back, and it's every adult's responsibility to educate the next generation of children.
Tell me about how education played such a significant role in your childhood. What was it about education, about mom and dad and stuff?
Well, it was the only thing I thought I was good at. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2. My dad then became a police officer for the city of Philadelphia, and the only way I got to see him was to do well in school. So that was my main goal, see my dad bring home A's and B's on my report card.
So you got self-esteem from doing well in school.
Absolutely.
Is that what you try to provide these kids?
Absolutely.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Every child has the ability to learn, no matter what environment they've come from or what their background is, and we have to show them that they have that ability to learn. The only way you can do that is to nurture a child, build up their self-esteem, build up their parents' self-esteem, because a lot of times parents are coming from environments where they don't think they can do it, or someone has told them, you'll never be able to do this. We build children up. You will always be able to do what you dream to do.
This is really the essence of who you are, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Do you think you work for a living?
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
Well, we talked earlier. I have 2 sets of children in my building. I have 1,027 children, ages 5 to 13, and then I have adult children who are all of my teachers and my staff who need the same amount of nurturing and development. It's very hard being a teacher and being the one that's involved in a child's life only part of the time, because they do get to go home at some point also. So they need constant development and nurturing as well.
Why is it so difficult being a teacher? You stand in front of these kids, you tell them what to do, if they misbehave, you flunk them. What's so, I don't understand that.
Well, that's how it was when I came up, because they used rulers and they hit you.
Oh, you too.
It's corporal punishment now, so we can't do any of those things.
Yeah.
We're dealing with a different generation of child. They're used to technology and everything being fast and quick. So the way you have to teach now is different than just standing in front of children. You have to get them involved. And when I mean involved, we have to use technology to get them engaged in the teaching process now. And then parents, a lot of my parents are grandparents. A lot of my parents are foster parents. And generations removed from this younger generation of student. We have to have programs and trainings for them as well.
Boy, it certainly sounds like you know what you're talking about, Jeffrey.
Debbera, how do you keep your teachers engaged?
I empower them to know who is running this school. Even though parents, as a charter school, it's parent choice. So when the movement came out, it was basically because parents weren't happy with their neighborhood schools that they got to choose to select to make application for a charter school. The charter school law, though, requires us to have a lottery. So whenever you have more children trying to get into your school than the number of seats you have, everybody's name goes into an electronic lottery and it's drawn. So when parents come to the school, they kind of get the impression that they're in a private school now, and so we're supposed to be doing a lot of things, and it can make teachers feel, oh my God, I'm not in control of this. The parents are.
You mentioned earlier that in order for your dad to show up, you had to get straight A's, and he'd come and see you. Has your dad been to the school?
Yes, he has.
Oh. What did he say?
He's like, wow, you really have a really important job.
How did it make you feel that he came there and said that?
It's taken a long time to establish that relationship, but my dad is an adult, and so the overwhelming feeling of him just saying, I am proud of you and I love you, that I heard past the age of 50, I won't tell you exactly how old I am, versus when I was coming up as a child is just, no words can really express it.
Did your dad get better with time?
Most recently, in the past 5 years, yes.
Mm-hmm. Susan?
Did you, you seem like a very inspiring leader. Have you always been this outgoing?
No.
What made the change?
I grew up an only child, so I basically felt pretty sheltered and made my own decisions on my own. Joining Girl Scouts broke my shell. Again, to get my dad's attention and to make my mother proud simultaneously, I needed to develop as a leader, and Girl Scouts gave me that ability to do that. I still have my autograph book where my Girl Scout leader said, "You're the fastest. You grew up to be the fastest Girl Scout I've ever known."
What values from the Girl Scouts do you live your life by today?
Communication, which is key. Being able to network with other people, regardless of the environments that you come from.
And what other type of rituals, or how do you communicate to your teachers what you want your school to be?
Our philosophy of what teaching and nurturing a child means. We have a slogan song that we sing whenever we get together. Every Wednesday, we have professional development for our teachers. We have a chant. I asked them who runs this school. They say we run this school.
You have children?
Yes, I do.
How many kids?
I have 3 adult children.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference, similarity? Which is more difficult, being the CEO of West Oak Lane Charter School or being a mom?
They are exactly the same.
What do you mean?
You have different personalities throughout your building that's multiplied by hundreds. You have to nurture each one of those personalities different. Mm-hmm. Whether they came from the same exact household or not, they are still different. And being able to meet people where they are, let them know where they are, and how they grow from there, if it's their desire to do so.
Wow. Oof. Boy, oh boy.
So you really have the ability to see the unique in each person that you meet.
Yes, and I do feel that that's a blessing that I'm able to do that. I grew up, every summer I spent in the South. My grandmother, the matriarch of 16 children, we went down south every summer, and her philosophy was responsibility, accountability, and hard work. And that's what I think I've grown up on and what I'm passionate about when I interact with anyone else.
You grew up really with your mother as an only child.
Yes.
Debbera, tell us what you learned from your mom and your grandmother.
I learned respect and hard work. I grew up saying yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and never, ever questioning an adult. That's the same philosophy I have in my building, that children do not speak out of turn, and that children show respect, not only to our adults, but to each other.
So what advice do you give one of the kids going off from the school into the world? What would you tell them is the best advice you could give?
The 2 things I tell all my kids is work hard and be nice.
Work hard and be nice?
Yes.
Huh.
And is that the same lesson that you give your 3 children?
Yes.
Do you say it in any different way, or how does that show up at home?
I say exactly the same way, because then it can't be perceived in any other words. It's work hard, meaning do the best that you can do at whatever it is you're doing.
Mm-hmm. What would Mom say about you?
My mom is so ecstatically proud of me. I'm her only baby. And my mother, because she grew up in such a large family, only 1 child out of the 16 was selected to go to college, and she was not the one. I wrote a book about my family a few years ago, and I had to interview all of the children. And when I got to interview my mom, I learned so much about my mother as a person. And the one thing she said to me is, although I was not able to get educated myself, I poured everything about education into you.
Wow.
And that's what inspired me to go to my master's and then go to my doctorate degree, so I could give my mom her ultimate education. And so when I got my PhD ring, I ordered a PhD ring for her.
Yeah. What is the website address for the West Oak Lane Charter School?
www.wolcs.org.
We've been speaking with Dr. Debbera, Dr. Debbera Peoples-Lee, who's the CEO of West Oak Lane Charter School.